Do you ever wonder if you really have free will? At the heart of our human existence, we operate under the assumption of free will. Each day, we're presented with a plethora of choices that seem to confirm our autonomy. But underneath this surface of perceived freedom, there's a subtle undercurrent of predestination that often goes unnoticed. Consider the automatic processes our bodies perform without our conscious control, or how our brains function according to the laws of physics and chemistry. Even our genetic makeup, determined at birth, influences our lives in ways we often don't realize. Ignoring these deterministic elements can lead us to overestimate our freedom. There are countless instances where we give up our free will without even realizing it. We might act out of habit, parrot opinions we've heard from others, adhere to rigid beliefs, or replicate past actions without questioning why. We might also succumb to ingrained conditioning, let negative memories and fears dictate our actions, adhere to monotonous routines, or fail to engage in independent thought. These varied behaviors share a common thread. They're all examples of unconscious living. The more we indulge in them, the narrower our awareness becomes, and the more they dictate the course of our lives, often more so than our intellect, talent, or status. Many of us find ourselves stuck in a cycle where tomorrow looks just like today, and without realizing it, we surrender our autonomy to the unyielding progression of the past. This conversation isn't about the age-old philosophical debate between free will and determinism. Instead, it's about the practical implications of these concepts in our everyday lives. But even this distinction is somewhat illusory, as the practical aspects of life are deeply intertwined with more metaphysical truths. Many find themselves trapped in a cycle where tomorrow mirrors today, unwittingly surrendering their autonomy to the relentless march of the past. The age-old philosophical debate of free will versus determinism may seem distant, but its implications are closer than you think. We exist in a world of choices where every decision, every action appears to affirm our autonomy. Yet, from the beating of our hearts to the firing of our neurons, deterministic forces subtly shape our lives. Our genetic makeup, the laws of physics, even the past experiences that mold our perceptions. These deterministic elements are as much a part of us as our conscious choices. Yet the dichotomy between free will and determinism is a false one. They are not opposing forces, but rather two sides of the same coin. They coexist, intertwined in the complex dance of existence. Our autonomy is not compromised by deterministic elements, rather, it is shaped by them. Consider a river. Its course is determined by the landscape, the pull of gravity, the push of the wind. Yet within these constraints, the river is free to meander, to carve out its own path, to create oases of life in barren lands. Similarly, our lives are shaped by deterministic elements, but within these boundaries, we have the freedom to make choices, to chart our own course. Some might argue that this is not true freedom. They might insist on a world where every action, every decision is a product of pure, unadulterated free will. But such a world is not only impossible, it is undesirable. For without the deterministic elements that shape us, we would lack the very experiences, the very substance that make us who we are. To deny the coexistence of free will and determinism is to deny the complexity of human existence. It is to reduce life to a series of binary oppositions, to confine ourselves within a rigid framework of thought. Instead, we must embrace the ambiguity, the paradox, the beautiful complexity that defines us. Attempts to disentangle the deterministic from the autonomous prove futile. Human behavior remains ensconced in ambiguity, necessitating a shift in perspective. We must move beyond the false dichotomy of free will versus determinism and embrace the harmonious coexistence of both. For it is in this balance, in this dance between the predetermined and the chosen, that the true essence of freedom lies. Life's complexities defy binary oppositions. This statement invites us to delve into a deeper understanding of our world, one that transcends the limitations of dualistic thinking. Dualistic thinking, the mental habit of dividing the world into binary opposites, right and wrong, us and them, good and evil, can lead to a rigid, oversimplified worldview. It's a mindset that hinders our ability to fully understand and appreciate the intricate nuances and interconnectedness of life. Let's take a step beyond this. Let's consider a worldview that embraces unity over division, a perspective that values the harmonious balance of the universe and seeks to understand its complex interplay. Such a perspective allows for a richer, more nuanced understanding of our world and ourselves. Eastern spiritual traditions have long offered insights into transcending this duality. Vedanta, yoga, and Buddhism, for instance, all emphasize the cultivation of a higher state of consciousness, one that transcends the illusion of separateness and embraces the fundamental unity of all existence. These traditions teach that by quieting the mind and attuning ourselves to the present moment, we can experience a profound sense of oneness, a state of being that is beyond the grasp of dualistic thinking. This shift in perspective, this move beyond dualistic thinking, can have profound implications for how we live our lives. It can help us to overcome unconscious biases, to see beyond the surface-level differences that divide us, and to recognize the inherent interconnectedness of all things. It can enable us to approach conflicts and challenges with a greater sense of empathy and understanding, to see the world not as a battleground of competing forces, but as a complex web of interrelated parts. But how do we make this shift? How do we move beyond dualistic thinking? It begins with awareness. Recognizing the limitations of our current perspective is the first step. From there, we can cultivate mindfulness, focusing our attention on the present moment and observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment. In this way, we can begin to disentangle ourselves from the grip of dualistic thinking and open ourselves up to a more unified, holistic understanding of the world. Embracing unity over division offers a path to clarity and harmony. As we journey beyond dualistic thinking, we discover a richer, more nuanced understanding of our world and ourselves. It's a journey that invites us to explore the interconnectedness of all things, to see the world not as a series of binary oppositions, but as a complex, interrelated whole. How can one reclaim their autonomy and truly exercise free will? The answer lies in mindfulness. This is not simply a buzzword of modern psychology, but an ancient practice rooted in Eastern spiritual traditions. Mindfulness is the art of paying attention, of being fully present and observing without judgment. It's about bringing awareness to your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your environment. It's about being here, now. In our daily lives, we often act out of habit, repeating patterns without conscious thought. We react to situations rather than responding. We become prisoners of our past, of our conditioning, of our fears. But with mindfulness, we can break free from this unconscious living and reclaim our free will. Imagine your mind as a stage and your thoughts, emotions, and actions as actors. Often these actors take over the stage, acting out the same old scripts. But with mindfulness, you become the director of your own mind. You can observe these actors, understand their motivations, and guide them towards a more fulfilling performance. The process is simple. Pause, observe, and release. When faced with a decision, instead of reacting immediately, pause, take a step back. Observe your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses. Understand where they're coming from. Are they serving you, or are they a product of past conditioning? Then release. Let go of habitual responses. Invite novelty, spontaneity, and conscious decision-making. But remember, simple doesn't mean easy. It requires practice, patience, and resilience. It involves challenging deep-seated beliefs and stepping out of your comfort zone. It's a journey, not a destination. Reclaiming free will entails embracing consciousness's liberating potential. It is a journey marked by introspection, resilience, and a willingness to challenge entrenched beliefs. As we navigate life's intricacies, remember, true freedom lies not in defiance of determinism, but in transcending it. Embrace the dance of free will and determinism, and become the master of your own destiny.